Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Phil Switch. I'm Phil Carew, and I am joined by my fearless co-host, Brock Tamarino. The Phil Switch podcast is brought to you by Sal's Tire Caps. Sal's Tire Caps. They're not going to twist themselves. Brock, how are you doing on this lovely evening?
I'm doing pretty well. I actually, there's this Phil, I gotta say, there's this new social media fad going around. I've seen for the past couple weeks here. It might be, might have been going on longer. I'm not sure, but these younger people, I don't know, maybe like teens into their 20s, could be even older than that, are getting on social media either while they're at work or before they go to work or sometime, and they're whining about how they have to work while they're at their job. And then they're also whining, get this, about how they should be making like $20 an hour to flip a burger or, put groceries on a shelf.
I'm a little familiar with that, Brock. I think I have seen those. When I was, it's funny you mentioned that. When I was in high school and then part of college too, I actually worked at a grocery store, and I think I started out making like $7 or something like that. And I think before I left, I was making maybe like 7.5 or like 8. But I guess I always thought that was okay because I was a high school kid or a college kid, and that's, to some degree, maybe not like a management position, but like if you're just stocking shelves, that's kind of like a college kid or high school kid job. So I always kind of thought of it, maybe my generation, your generation thought of it as kind of like paying our dues. Like these are the kind of jobs we have to get until we get more experience or more education or whatever. I guess I never really thought I should be making $20 for stacking and stocking fruits and vegetables.
Yeah, no, I remember I had a neighbor one time, and he came over and he asked my mom if I could help him rake leaves out of his yard, right? And so I go over there, and my mom says, "Yeah, go help him." And I get there, and he says, "Oh, well, I'll after you get done raking leaves, I'll pay you." And I was like, "Oh, okay." I didn't think much about it. And so we get done raking leaves. I spent maybe, I don't know, probably 45 minutes to an hour. He had a pretty nice yard, a lot of trees. And I remember he reached into his pocket, and the kid in me was thinking like, "Oh, I'm going to get like, $5 or $10 here." And no, he handed me 4 quarters. And I remember I went home and I told my mom he only paid me $1. And my mom's response was, "You spent like an hour raking leaves. He really didn't have to pay you anything."
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Maybe just a different mindset. I don't know.
No, you know what I really think it is? I think it's, oh gosh, I'm going to go on like some kind of high horse here, but I think it's some sense of entitlement that some people, they think no matter what they do, the world owes them everything. Well, I learned how to tie my shoe today. Do I get $50 for that? No, you don't get $50. Now you don't trip over your shoelaces. Like you learned a lesson. When I was a kid, my dad said, "Well, if you want something, it looks like you're going to have to get a job." And I think maybe kids today are being told like, "Well, if you want something, you're going to have to get a sob. You're going to have to start crying about it to get what you want. And then if you get a job, you can sob about that and try to get more for doing less, essentially."
That could be, Brock. You seem like you're very passionate about this. Maybe we ought to open up the phone lines, take some calls.
Yeah, that's fine. Maybe get some other perspectives in here. So yeah, I guess since I brought the topic up, if you've got some perspective on, kids getting paid today, what they should get paid, and do you think the kids are getting ripped off for doing a high school or college kid job? Oh, look at that. Without further ado, our first caller is Blake. Blake, you are on the Phil Switch. You obviously called in because you heard what we're talking about. Go ahead and let us know what you think, Blake. Okay, so yeah, like I got a job right now, right? I'm trying to like earn some money, right?
Just out of curiosity, Blake, around how old are you? What are you like? Are you in high school? You in college?
Oh yeah, no. I'm 19. I'm in college. I got my whole future ahead of me. That's what I tell my frat bros. I'm like, dudes, we got our whole future ahead of us. They're like, yeah, and I'm like, yeah, and then they're like, let's go to the quad, and I'm like, well, I got some studying to do. They're like, you can do that later. I was like, yeah, I probably can. But yeah, no. So anyway, yeah, I got a job and like I don't know. They like pay me and what do you you say you got a job? You're in college, so what kind of job do you have? Oh yeah. No, I right now I'm just working at a restaurant, but it's like I'm a waiter there. So like people will say, "Hey, I want like a cheeseburger and my wife will have the meatloaf and my kid's going to have the macaroni and cheese, but if you don't put like anything on it, just the cheese." And then they're gonna have the chicken tenders. I'm like, okay, I can do that. There's this one guy there, Bob. Like, he's real good. Like, he'll go up to him and they'll say, "Should you write this down?" He's like, "I got it all right here." And anyway, when I talk to Bob, I'm like, "How do you do that?" And he's like, "Oh, actually, I mess up like half the orders." Oh. So anyway, I just keep writing stuff down. But yeah, so no, like I get like, I don't know, $5 or $6 an hour, and then I get my tips.
So do you think that's fair for what you do? Like as far as waiting on people and um, bringing their food out to them, and
Oh no, I don't even have to bring their food out to them. No, because we have like waiters, and then we have servers, and then we have people that clean the tables. So like all I got to do is go ask them what they want, and then I go put in our little system, and then what happens is that the cooks make that food, and then they give it to the server, and then the server puts it on our table, and then I just come back and ask if everything's okay, and I'll ask them if they want some more to drink, stuff like that. So do you think what you get is fair payment then for what you do? Yeah, I guess. I mean, if I'm not like asking people what they want to eat or what they want to drink or if they like their meal or if they want more to eat or drink, I'm pretty much just in the back talking to Bob, and Rick's back there too. I'll talk to Rick sometimes. He's kind of salty. He says we should just get to work. He's an older guy. But anyway, yeah, so sure, I think what they pay me is fair. I mean, I guess I haven't really thought about it.
okay, so yeah, so you think you get paid fairly for waiting on people, and then somebody, like you said, somebody else serves their food, somebody else cleans the table, the cooks are cooking the food. You just have to make sure the people like their food, get their order put in, and get more to drink. So it seems like fair payment to me, I guess. I don't know. Do you think? So to Brock's point, do you think you need $15 or $20 to do that an hour?
Uh, I mean, I'd take it, I guess. So, I mean, if somebody's gonna, yeah, I'd take it. Yeah, but do you think the job you do is worth $15 or $20 an hour? Well, do I think it's worth it, or like is somebody like you got? Is there a restaurant that pays that? No, Blake. I'm just asking you, like the work you do when you take people's orders and you put them in your system and you come back and ask them if they want more tea or something like that. Do you think that's worth $15 to $20 an hour? Well, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. So I'll just say that. Okay. You think you paid fairly? Y- yeah, I guess. All right. Thank you, Blake. Appreciate it. Okay, thanks, guys. No problem.
All right. Thank you, Blake. I can tell that that Brock is he's a little bit amped up today. It seems like. So, Brock, did you have a bad week, Brock?
No, I'm trying to understand how all this works. Where, you know, uh, you know, if you teach a kid to wipe their bottom, they want $5 for that. I thought that was called survival.
Right. Right. Yeah. I gotcha. I gotcha.
Yeah. So anyway, let's get to the next caller. Let's do that. Uh, the next caller is Arthur. Arthur, you are on the Phil Switch. Let us know what you think about these whiners on social media that are whining about having to work while they're at work. Oh yes, yes, from being from a little bit older of a generation. Yes, I do have a few things to say about this. So when I was quite a bit younger, I did various jobs around the house. Did various jobs as I believe you said, Brock. You did rake the leaves for your neighbor and were paid maybe not handsomely for it, but surely fairly for it being a child. And I often did jobs like that around my house for my neighbors. I even remember I helped the storekeeper for a short time. And I didn't make what I would call a lot of money. In American dollars, it would be probably roughly, at that time, I probably made, I don't know, if I were to add all that up, right, between the storekeeper, excuse me a second, if I were to add all that up, I would say probably $5 to $6 an hour. Correct? Yes. Well, and I thought that was quite fair because as a child, even though my parents expected a lot of me, I didn't really have to pay for anything. They fed me, they made sure I had a roof over my head, and also, anything extra I wanted was on me, so that's what my work was for. I worked for extra stuff. And now, some people, if they're going to college, obviously, they might be in a situation, maybe a lot of people are, as I was, where when I went to university, I had to not only pay for a significant part of my way to go, but I also had to make sure that I was able to afford what I needed while I was there. And so I had to work. I guess my expectation is that when I got a job, they would pay me for the work I did. And while I was at my job, I would have to, work. And I typically worked, it was probably what ended up being maybe part, sometimes bordering on full time hours, but they paid me a fair wage for what I did. I worked at oh, a restaurant. It wasn't like your earlier caller, but I worked at a restaurant where I had to basically, I was the person that cleaned the tables, and they paid me a fair wage for that. I certainly didn't expect 15 to 20 US dollars, even at that time. I wouldn't have expected as much as probably 9 or 10 US dollars for wiping a table off and putting dishes in the sink, which everybody at that restaurant actually pitched in and cleaned together as they came. So, yes, I guess, I think Brock might have mentioned something about entitlement earlier, and I can certainly see that. Especially, I have seen a few videos there, Brock, where the, I guess, complainants, if it were, are crying and sobbing, and I just wish there were more Kleenexes available for them to wipe their eyes and blow their nose and possibly wipe their own bums. But I don't imagine that's going to happen for any of those people making those videos. So, but that's my perspective on it. Are there any other questions?
No, I think yeah, that's that's what we ask. Arthur, you did a very good job going through your thoughts on it, so we appreciate that. Thank you for joining the Phil Switch, and yeah, thank you very much. Have a good evening, Arthur.
Oh, yes, anytime. Thank you very much.
All right, the next person we have on the line is Jiffany. Jiffany, did I say that right? Is that Jiffany? Yes, that's right. It's Jiffany. So I'm calling for one, Brock. I'm very upset about all this. Like, you're just attacking us. You're like attacking us. And it's like, Brock, we have like real things we have to say. Like, for one, like, I work at, I work at a coffee shop, Brock. Okay. I work at a coffee shop and it's just not fair. Like, do you even know about making coffee, Brock?
Yeah, I do. You brew it and then you pour it in a cup. And if you would like additional things in it, you can pour those in as well. And then you stir it. And then what happens is, for me, since I'm making it for myself, I might let it cool down a little bit or, whatever. And then I drink it. Now, if I were working at a coffee shop, let's say, I would have to make that and then put it on a counter and then say somebody's name who would then come up and they would drink it.
Yeah, Brock, that's exactly what we're doing. And you don't get it, Brock. Like, when we make that stuff, Brock, it is like an art. And like, we're not being paid like an artist. We're being paid like so little, Brock. You don't even understand. Like, we're back there and we're like with the creamers and we're with the flavors and like like people will say, oh, I want this, but leave that out. And then I've got to be like, oh, I got to think about this. And they'll say, well, I want this and I want this, but don't add this. And I'm like, oh no, I can't add like the almond milk. And they're like, but if you do this and you do that. And then some people get rude. Some people, like, I put it on their thing and I'm like, okay, Steven. And they like come up and they just leave. They don't even say thank you. They don't even leave a tip.
Well, that's Jiffany. That's my point. You're getting paid to do that, right? How much are you getting paid?
I don't disclose that, but it's totally not enough. We need to be making like $24 an hour.
Are you kidding me right now? You think you need to make $24 an hour to pour coffee into a cup and maybe some additional stuff and to write somebody's name on it and then put it on a counter?
There's so much more to it than Brock. We have to clean stuff too.
You're kidding me, right? Okay. So, you have to make the drink. Do you take the order too, or do you just make the drink?
No, there's somebody else that takes the order, and they're way underpaid too.
Okay, what do they get?
I don't know. I can't disclose that, Brock. It's not. Right now, we're in like negotiations with people, and I don't want to disclose any of that.
All right. What I'm saying is you have somebody running register, so you're not doing that. So you have somebody taking care of the register. You probably have somebody, if you have do you have a drive-through window there?
Yes, we have a drive-through window, and they have a separate set of responsibilities.
Okay. So Jiffany, literally all you do is make people drinks, which all the measurements I'm sure are laid out for you. And then you take these drinks and you put them into a cup. And then you put that cup, you probably have to put a lid on it. You have to put a lid on that cup. So that's a little extra labor there. You put a lid on it. And then what you have to do is you have to put it on a counter. And you have to say somebody's name, correct?
Yes, that's exactly what we do. And we also clean stuff.
Right, you have to clean stuff. So you have to do dishes, right?
Right.
Okay. Do you think the job I just described, do you think that's worth $24 an hour?
When you say it like that, Brock, you make it seem so like simple and so like simple.
Yeah. Yeah, I do make it sound kind of simple. Because it kind of is.
Brock, I feel like you're doing a lot of aggressions right now. I feel like I'm starting to get triggered, and you're doing like a lot of aggressions, and I think you're doing like microaggressions and like macroaggressions.
Hold on a second. What?
I think you're doing like aggressions. Okay, I tell you what. Jiffany, thank you for calling us in.
No. I want to know what kind of aggressions are you talking about?
No, we need to. Jiffany, thank you very much for calling in. Brock, I think we're gonna let Jiffany go now. We have time for one more guest, and then we're gonna wrap this thing up, I think. So, Jiffany, thank you very much for joining us. Our last guest is crap. Our last guest is Peter. Hi, guys. Excuse me. Peter here. And, Brock, how are you doing?
Oh my God, you, Peter. Can I just be? You're a psychiatrist, so can I just be honest with you in my communications here?
Brock. Brockalicious. I don't want to hear anything but the truth from you, Brock, okay? So yes, hit me with honesty, Brock. Honesty right upside the head.
You might have picked the worst episode to come on and talk to me. And I don't mean that. I don't mean that mean, okay, Peter, but sometimes you and I don't always see eye to eye. And I'm already, Phil's already said it. I seem a little frazzled. I feel a little frazzled. My blood pressure's kind of going up. I got to see my doctor about that, actually. And,
Brock. Okay, listen to Peter for a second. Listen to Peter. I know that you said we don't always see eye to eye, Brock. This is actually something, as a psychiatrist, that you might be surprised to hear, Brock, but you and I actually see eye to eye on this one. My Brockham. You guys get that? It's like a playoff of the Broheim thing, or Broham. Broheim. I think people also say Broheim. It's a playoff of that saying Brockham. Or I should say Brockheim, but it's a we get it. We get it, Peter. Let's just continue on how you and Brock see eye to eye. I think Brock could really, I think Brock could use that right now. Okay, so Brock, I'll keep this brief. I don't want to take up a lot of your guys' time here, and I don't want to take up a lot of my time, not for this podcast. So what I'm going to do is, Brock, here's the thing. I've seen some of those videos myself, Brock, and the only diagnosis I can think of when I see those videos, and you might not find this in a medical or psychiatric journal, okay? The only diagnosis I can give those youths is that they have a strong case of wussydom. Are you familiar with that, Brock? Wussydom?
Yeah. That's actually, that's kind of what I think. They're kind of being like wussies, like.
Right, Brock. They haven't been. Oh, how can I say this? They haven't been set out to the world with a whole lot of armor. They've kind of had what do I want to say? They've had it kind of easy, and not a lot of arrows slung their ways, if I can say that much. And just a real high degree of wussydom. I did like the joke you made, Brock. I think their parents do tell them to go get a sob. A sob, like, for your listeners out there, a sob is also like when you're crying. I don't know if Brock thought to explain that, but sob is like when you're crying, when you're emotionally invested through tears, through maybe hyperventilation, possibly you're breathing heavy, snot bubbles coming out of your nose. I don't usually use the phrase snot bubbles, but Brock and I are doing so lovely right now. I just feel like kind of taking the tie off, loosening up a little bit, maybe kicking back a glass of just room temperature water. Okay. So, but wussydom, I would definitely classify them and diagnose them with that. And Brock, it's just been a really great time to come on here, have a good conversation with you guys. And as always, I wish you guys the best. I hope your little podcast here just keeps doing really well. I'm sure you guys have to be in Apple's top 50 million podcast. So you guys just keep, what do the kids say? Keep grinding. Keep grinding. I think one kid said, keep hustling. He said, every day I be hustling. So you guys just keep grinding, keep hustling. Keep digging at it. Keep your head down, keep moving forward, say a couple prayers.
Yeah, we get it, Peter. Okay, so let's just leave it there. You and I, like you said, you and I had a really good conversation. It really means a lot that you called to support me, and you had some nice things to say about me. And what's that? Oh, okay, he hung up. Apparently, the producer's telling me he hung up as soon as I started talking. All right. Well, that was good while it lasted. Yeah, I'll kick it over to you, Phil. For the listeners and the callers, thank you again. Sorry if I seemed a little unhinged. Whatever. So anyway, go ahead and take it, Phil.
All right. Yeah. So, thank you to the callers for calling in. Thank you to Peter for being kind of nice to us. I appreciate that. A couple comments there at the end, but that's okay. Anyway, as always, thanks for listening to the Phil Switch podcast. And don't forget to check out my other podcast, The First and 15th, which I co-host with Cap from Kaplowitz Media. You can check him out at kaplowitz.xyz. Check out some of his writing there. Really good stuff. If you would like to reach out to the Phil Switch, you can do that through email. It is thefilswitch@gmail.com. Again, that's thefilswitch@gmail.com. Guys, we wish you all a great week, and we'll talk to you soon here at the Phil Switch.